According to the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center, NHC, issued on August 13, 2025 at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Tropical Erin is expected to intensify into a hurricane by this Friday, marking a significant development in the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season. As of the 11 a.m. update, Tropical Storm Erin was located approximately 890 miles east of the Northern Leeward Islands. The storm is packing maximum sustained winds of 60 miles per hour, with a minimum central pressure of 999 millibars. This represents a notable increase in wind speed and a corresponding drop in pressure from the earlier 5 a.m. advisory, signaling that Erin is undergoing a period of intensification. This strengthening trend is being closely watched by forecasters, who anticipate that favorable atmospheric conditions will continue to support the storm's development over the coming days. Erin is currently moving in a westward direction at a steady pace of 17 miles per hour. The NHC predicts a shift in the storm's trajectory later this week. A turn toward the west-northwest is expected to begin Thursday night, and this general motion is forecast to continue through the weekend. This projected path places the center of Tropical Storm Erin on a course that will likely bring it near or just north of the Northern Leeward Islands by the weekend. Despite the storm's growing strength and advancing path, there are currently no coastal watches or warnings in effect for any land areas. However, the National Hurricane Center has emphasized that the absence of official watches does not mean the threat is negligible. Forecasters caution that Erin could move close enough to several island groups to produce significant impacts. Specifically, the NHC noted that the storm has the potential to affect the Northern Leeward Islands, the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. One of the most immediate and widespread threats posed by Tropical Storm Erin, even from a distance, comes in the form of ocean swells. Swells generated by the storm are expected to begin reaching portions of the Northern Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico by this weekend. These powerful swells will radiate outward from the storm's center, traveling across the open ocean and impacting coastlines far from where the strongest winds are located. The National Hurricane Center has issued a stark warning about the dangers associated with these swells. Forecasters state that the incoming wave action is likely to create life-threatening surf and rip current conditions along affected shorelines. Even if the storm remains hundreds of miles offshore, the energy it transfers to the ocean can create hazardous conditions for swimmers, surfers, and boaters. Local authorities in the threatened regions are being urged to monitor the situation closely and prepare to issue safety advisories or beach closures as necessary to protect public safety. For residents of Florida and the broader U.S. East Coast, the current forecast offers a measure of relief, but also a call for vigilance. At this time, the primary threats to the United States from Tropical Storm Erin are limited to rough surf and dangerous rip currents along the Atlantic coastline. These conditions are already beginning to develop as the storm's influence extends across the western Atlantic. Beachgoers and mariners are advised to check local forecasts and heed warnings from lifeguards and coastal authorities. While the current track of Erin takes it well to the south of the U.S. mainland, meteorologists stress that it is far too early to rule out any future changes to the storm's path. The Atlantic basin is vast, and steering currents can shift, especially as other weather systems interact with the storm. Experts at the First Warning Weather Team and other forecasting centers are closely monitoring every model run, analyzing the latest data to refine the forecast and assess potential long-range threats. The behavior of Tropical Storm Erin in the coming days will be critical in determining its ultimate impact. One factor that forecasters are watching closely is the rate at which the storm strengthens. Some meteorological experts suggest that it could actually be beneficial for Florida if Erin intensifies quickly into a hurricane and maintains a more organized structure. A stronger, more coherent storm is often easier to predict and tends to follow a more consistent track, typically influenced by the prevailing upper-level winds. Conversely, a weaker, more disorganized system can be more erratic in its movement, making its future path harder to pin down and potentially increasing uncertainty for areas further west. including the southeastern United States. The 2025 Atlantic hurricane season, which officially runs from June 1st through November 30th, is now in full swing. The formation of Tropical Storm Erin is part of an active pattern in the tropics, with forecasters tracking multiple areas of interest across the basin. Long-range forecasts and seasonal outlooks, such as the WESH long-range forecast, suggest that this year could see an above-average number of named storms, driven by factors like warmer-than-average sea surface temperatures and favorable atmospheric conditions, such as reduced wind shear and an active African monsoon season. The development of Erin follows a familiar pattern for early-season storms in the deep tropical Atlantic. It likely originated from a tropical wave that moved off the west coast of Africa, a common breeding ground for powerful hurricanes. As these waves travel westward over the warm equatorial waters, they can gather moisture and energy, eventually organizing into tropical depressions, storms, and sometimes hurricanes. The region where Erin formed is often referred to as the Main Development Region, MDR, for Atlantic hurricanes, and activity there in July is a strong indicator of a potentially active season. Computer forecast models, often visualized as spaghetti models that show the various predicted tracks from different modeling systems, are currently showing a general consensus on Erin's west-northwestward motion over the next several days. However, there is still considerable spread in the longer-range projections, particularly beyond the 7-day forecast window. Some models suggest the storm could continue on a relatively straight path through the Caribbean, while others hint at a potential northward turn later in its life cycle, which could bring it closer to the Bahamas or the southeastern U.S. coast. This uncertainty underscores the importance of not focusing on any single forecast track and instead preparing for a range of possibilities. Residents in the potential impact zones, from the Leeward Islands to Florida, are encouraged to use this time to review their hurricane preparedness plans. This includes ensuring they have an emergency kit stocked with essentials like water, non-perishable food, medications, flashlights, and batteries. It also means knowing their evacuation zone, having a family communication plan, and staying informed through reliable sources like the National Hurricane Center, local meteorologists, and emergency management officials. The WESH 2 First Warning Weather Team, led by Chief Meteorologist Tony Mainolfi and including Eric Burris, Kellyanne Class, Marquise Mehta, and Cam Tran, is providing continuous coverage of Tropical Storm Erin. They are analyzing the latest satellite imagery, model data, and NHC advisories to deliver the most accurate and up-to-date information for Central Florida viewers. Their forecasts are crucial for helping local communities understand the potential risks and make informed decisions. For those seeking more detailed information and resources, WESH offers a comprehensive 2025 Hurricane Survival Guide. This guide provides in-depth advice on everything from preparing your home and creating a disaster supply kit to understanding storm surge risks and evacuation procedures. It is an invaluable tool for anyone living in a hurricane-prone area. As Tropical Storm Erin continues its journey across the Atlantic, the focus remains on its potential to become a hurricane and the impacts it may bring to the Caribbean islands. The coming days will be critical in determining the storm's strength, structure, and ultimate path. While Florida is not under any immediate threat, the situation serves as a timely reminder that hurricane season is here and preparedness is key. The public is advised to stay tuned to official sources for updates. Following the National Hurricane Center on social media, downloading weather apps like Very Local to stream Central Florida news and weather from WESH 2, and signing up for local emergency alerts are all effective ways to stay informed. The difference between being caught off guard and being ready to respond often comes down to the simple act of paying attention to the forecast. While Tropical Storm Erin is hundreds of miles away, its effects are already being felt indirectly, and the situation is a timely reminder that hurricane season is here. For beachgoers across Florida and the U.S. East Coast, the immediate concern is an increase in rough surf and dangerous rip currents over the coming days. Even if the water looks calm, strong offshore storms like Erin can send powerful, invisible currents that can sweep swimmers out to sea. If you're headed to the beach this weekend, always swim near a lifeguard and heed any warning flags. For residents throughout Central Florida and the Southeast, this is the moment to get prepared, not when a storm is at the doorstep. Now is the time to check your emergency kit, update your family communication plan, and know your evacuation zone. Don't wait until a storm threatens. Although Erin is not forecast to impact the U.S. directly, long-range forecasts can change quickly. The tropics are unpredictable, and small shifts in a storm's path can have big consequences. By staying informed through trusted sources like the National Hurricane Center and your local meteorologists at westward, you can stay ahead of the threat. Use this near miss as a wake-up call. Prepare now so you're ready for whatever the 2025 hurricane season brings.